Before you throw these items away, let me prove to you in today's What Sold video that even these items can make you good money. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms, and when I'm not reselling, I am teaching high school choir full-time. That is what I do with the majority of my day, and I love it. I'm also a mom to 2 kids. I'm very happily married. I have a lot of things happening in my personal life as well, and reselling is a side hustle that I do in the small pockets of time that I have when other stuff is not going on. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything that's sold for me in the week of October 23rd through the 29th. And one thing that I think is super unique about this particular week of sales is that I happened to sell a good number of items that had pretty significant flaws. And I know a lot of times, we'll go thrifting, we'll find something that we're really excited about, we'll come home, and as we're photographing it, we'll notice, oh no, there's a huge hole, or there's a huge something or another that we didn't know about. And we have to make a decision in that moment. Do I just call it a loss and redonate it, or do I go ahead and list it anyway? And I am here to try to convince you in most cases to go ahead and list it anyway, because you can still make decent money on those items, like you're going to see in today's What Sold video. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, because I do a video like this every single week where I share with you everything that sold and every lesson that I learned along the way. But let's jump right into it. So Monday, which was October 23rd, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Allbirds. They were the gray Tree Pipers sneakers in a women's size 10. These had a flaw in that they were missing their laces. And I guess I could have gotten whatever laces from the Dollar Tree or something. I just chose to sell them without the laces. And the truth is, these were listed for a decent amount of time. I'm talking probably close to a year. However, I credit that to a few things. 1, the missing laces. But then also 2, I kind of expected these to sell on eBay, but Allbirds are actually a brand that you should not even try to sell on eBay anymore, because you'll basically get an automatic Vero. A Vero is basically a strike against your account. You can get Veros for things like using stock photos on eBay, for selling certain things that just eBay doesn't allow, like brands like Allbirds now, I guess, for using certain words in your listing title, words like Velcro or onesie, things that are copyrighted by specific brands. If you're oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare, how do I find out about all the Veros on eBay? You can actually just go online and Google eBay Veros and educate yourself on what not to do when it comes to listing and selling on eBay, because it's like they're out to get you. It's like they have a team of people out there whose only job is to catch people making mistakes that they didn't even know were mistakes in the first place. How is the average person supposed to know not to use Velcro in the listing title? But these are all things that you learn through trial and error, or through watching videos like this. You learn about the do's and don'ts about different reselling platforms. And so Allbirds, I'm here to tell you, is a brand that you should not sell on eBay. So I only had these listed on Poshmark and Mercari, and as a result, it just took a little bit longer to sell. But they did eventually sell for $29. I did have a shipping discount on those because that sale was a result of Posh VA, which is a Chrome extension that I use to do boring things like sharing my Poshmark closet or sending offers to likers 5 minutes after someone likes an item. And because of that service, I was able to make the sale, and I only had $2.99 into these, because that's what they were priced at a local thrift store. They probably priced them kind of low because of the fact that the shoelaces were missing. And so my net profit on those was $18.19. On eBay, I had a great sale. So I talked about this brand in last week's What Sold video. I will link that video right here. But I had found 2 pairs of pants by this brand at a local consignment store during a sidewalk sale. So I think they were having a 75% off of a certain color tag sale. And I saw these pants. The label was nothing special. The label itself didn't make me stop and go, ooh, what are those? But it was more the fact that along the trim, it said made in Italy. There are crappy things made in Italy too. It's not like every single thing that was ever made in Italy is better than anything that was made in America or anywhere else for that matter. But a lot of times, if they're boasting about something being made in Italy, it's because, there's something really nice about the pants, whether it's the construction, whether it is the quality of the fabric. And so I paused. I looked up comps for the brand on platforms like eBay and Poshmark, and I was shocked. Items by this brand were going for so much. And like I said, I had found 2 pairs of pants. They were priced pretty high at that consignment store, and that was another reason for me to pause and just take some, time to look them up. And one of the pants had an actual style name on them. It wasn't these, it was the other one, but I was able to look up that particular style and saw that that particular style sold for like, $75 to $100. So I went ahead and snagged both. So the brand is Kieran Finch. Kieran Finch is a women's wear brand that is meant to look pretty androgynous. It's very heavily inspired by menswear clothing, and so, their pants are going to look like men's slacks or like men's trousers. These were a pair of dark blue chino straight leg high-rise trousers in a size 22. I don't even think that these were made out of like 100% wool or anything like that, but these I had listed for, I want to say $75. I got a $60 offer on eBay, and I very happily accepted that offer. They were promoted at 3%, and at that particular consignment store for the sidewalk sale, again, everything was, I believe, about 75% off. So I got these for $7.50. That gives you an idea of how high they had them priced in the first place. And no one in my town was like, sure, let me fork over like $40, $50, $60 for a pair of used pants by this brand that I've never heard of. And because of that, because they were sitting around for so long at this particular consignment store, I was able to get them for a really good price and make a net profit on those pants of $41.51. You better believe that I am on the constant hunt now for this brand, because not only did they sell for a good amount and give me a nice little return, they sold really fast. They sold within within a month of being listed, which I think is a really great turnaround. On Tuesday, which was October 24th, I sold 3 things on Poshmark. The first one was another flawed item. It was this J. McLaughlin red open front cardigan sweater in a size medium. So this I found at a local estate sale. It was actually a house in my neighborhood. I got some great stuff at this estate sale. I got like some St. John pieces. I can't even remember what else. Like I got some, I got like a Jessica McClintock, like gunny sacks dress that I still haven't listed because I'm ridiculous, and like a pair of leather, what are they called? The things that like equestrian, like horse riders wear, chaps. That's the word. Leather chaps that I also still haven't listed because I don't know how to, so they've just been sitting there forever. But I got some really great things at this estate sale, and a lot of the things were priced pretty high, and so I was really excited when this was only priced at $4, and I was like, oh, I'm getting this for a steal. I'm going to be able to sell this for like $40, $50. But when I got it home, I saw that there was a huge hole in the armpit, like a huge, like right at the seam, just a huge hole. So obviously I had to change my plan of attack. I think I still listed it for $25, but I got an offer for $20 pretty quickly after listing it. Again, I think this sold within the month. And so my net profit on that was $12, which is not what I was hoping for, but it's still pretty good given the fact that this hole was so big. But it would have been really easy to fix because, again, it was kind of just along that seam. So if you were handy with a needle and thread, it was going to be a really quick fix. The next thing to sell was this Cintas gray gas and pump button-up shirt in a size medium for men. This was such a silly shirt. It was like, in the olden days when you would go get gas, you would stay in your car and someone would come out and like fill your gas tank for you. And they had those iconic looking shirts. This is what that was. I don't know if it was like for real someone's shirt from when they worked at a gas station or if it's meant to be like a costume. I'm inclined to think that it was real because the brand Cintas, like they do workwear clothing. That's what that brand is. And so I think this was like a real shirt that someone used when they worked at a gas station and pumped gas for a living and like filled people's gas tanks. And I listed this sometime last year or maybe 2 years ago, and I remember thinking to myself, this would make a great Halloween costume, and that's the only reason I'm going to list it. And this year on October 24th, it sold for that very reason. Someone sent me an offer of $20. I accepted. I think I had it listed at $25. I had $2 into it, and so I made a net profit of $16. But after the person purchased it, they messaged me and they were like, do you think you can get this to me by Friday? So this was a Tuesday. they were asking if I could get it to them by Friday. And I was like, all I can say is I'm going to ship it out tomorrow and it will get to you when it gets to you. And hopefully it gets to you in time for when you need it. And he was like, great, Halloween is saved. And Friday, the 27th, was not Halloween. Maybe he had like a party or something. I did kind of check the tracking on this, and I think it actually got to him the next day, like on Saturday. But hopefully, like, he just needed it in time for Halloween, and, you know, it served his purpose. I mean, he accepted the sale. I got my money, so I think everything worked out. But that item did end up selling for the very exact reason that I thought it would, Halloween. The next item was this vintage Obermeyer black snowsuit, or like snowveralls. I guess that's a word. I don't know. But it was like, you know, basically one of those like snow pant bib situations. It was in a youth size 7. I got these a long time ago. I got these in another pair of Obermeyer snowveralls, maybe like 3 summers ago in Seattle. Maybe it was 2, I don't know. But I got them in Seattle at the Goodwill outlet when I went to visit my parents, because my parents live out there. And every time I go to visit them, I love taking at least 1 or 2 trips to any of the Goodwill outlets that are out there. We would go to the one downtown. We would go to one in Kent, which I heard closed down, which is really sad because that one was pretty close to where my parents lived. But I think I got these at the Kent location. And these I've had listed forever, but then they randomly sold because of Posher VA for $29. I did have a shipping discount because, you know, when you send offers to likers, whether it's you're doing it yourself or through Posher VA, you do have to attach a shipping discount to it. My average cost of goods for that particular Seattle Goodwill outlet trip was $1.42 per item. And so my net profit on those was $19.76, which is not bad for a pair of like snow pants. They just took forever to sell. On Wednesday, which was October 25th, on Poshmark, I sold this Luciano Barbara Louis Boston button-up dress shirt in a size extra large. This was also made in Italy, so maybe at the same factory as those Kieran Finch pants, but these sold for $22. I had $3.92 into them from a reseller who sold me like a half pallet of clothing because she just had too much. And so I made a net profit of $13.68 on that shirt. I hate selling men's dress shirts, like button-up shirts, button-down shirts, that sort of thing. They just are kind of a pain to list and photograph, and then they take forever to sell. This one, yeah, I mean, it took like a year to sell, so not very exciting, but it did finally move and make me a little bit of money. On eBay, I sold this J. Jill gray mohair and wool blend long line button-up cardigan in a size medium. This was another item that had a flaw in it. It was very lightweight, very sheer, very thin, and what I didn't notice when I picked it up was that there were some like snags or like pulls in the fabric, I think on the back of the cardigan. So I listed it for a little bit less, obviously, because I saw that, but it did end up selling on eBay for $15. I had $3.47 into it from a local consignment store. They have a birthday sale once a year. Duh, because everyone's birthday is once a year. But there are 2 locations of this particular consignment store, and each location has its own birthday. So I go to 2 birthday sales every year at different, you know, locations of this consignment store. I love this consignment store. I really like the owners. They've been really good to me. They're the ones that let me shop in their storage unit during COVID when, you know, businesses were not allowed to open. So I try to frequent them as often as I can and, you know, give them as much of my business as possible. So during one of their birthday sales, I purchased this and didn't see the flaw. I'm moving so fast and throwing as much as I can in my bag during these sales as possible just to kind of maximize my time. But I did still sell the item and I made a net profit of $8.55. On Thursday, which was October 26th, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Gap camo print girlfriend chino pants in a size 0. These sold for $11 with discounted shipping because of Posher VA. This was a great Posher VA week. Like some weeks, you know, I don't really make any sales because of Posher VA, and then some weeks it's literally every single Poshmark sale is attributed to Posher VA because of the work that it does for me. If you want to try Posher VA so that you can be a little bit more hands-off with your Poshmark closet as well, I will have a coupon code down in the description below. It's just BECKYPARK and it allows you to save 20% off of your first payment of Posher VA, but it's a great resource to try just to see if it makes selling on Poshmark a little bit easier for you. But I got this from a friend of mine, again, like so many years ago, maybe like 3-4 years ago at this point. She just gave me a ton of clothes that everyone in her family didn't wear anymore. It was like everyone from her and her husband to her 2 kids. So I've had these for a while, and my net profit on them finally, after many, many years of these being listed, was $6.03. On eBay, I sold this pair of Life is Good red dog USA flag print PJ or like pajama pants in a men's size extra large. They had an elastic waist. They were just pull-on pajama pants, really comfortable, great for lounging around in. I got these at a garage sale over the summer, knowing full well that they weren't going to sell for that much, but knowing that they would probably sell pretty quickly. Life is Good just sells really well for me. It's, I have a great sell-through rate in this brand. It sells fast as long as you price it correctly. It doesn't sell for a lot, but it'll move pretty quickly. So I had $4.77 into these. That was, I think, the average cost of goods for that particular garage sale. They sold for $16 and I made a net profit of $9.22. And that particular garage sale was a reseller who, her mom lives in town. She lives about 3 hours away, but she comes to visit a lot, and they do this garage sale together once a year. She is a reseller who is more interested in selling vintage than she is, contemporary clothing, but she has sourced a lot of contemporary clothing, and that's why she sells the non-vintage items at this garage sale once a year with her mom. And I've gotten to know her over the years, and now she lets me know like when she's going to be in town and when this garage sale is going to happen. And I was able to pick these up from her, so I'm very happy to support her and also, get things that are going to move really fast. The next thing to sell was this pair of Merrell Snow Crush Junior gray winter boots in a youth size 8. These were like slip-on winter boots. They had leather uppers. I think winter boots are such a great staple to have in your closet during this time of year because everyone needs them. Okay, not everyone lives in a winter climate, but everyone who lives anywhere like where I live needs them. Most kids love playing out in the snow, and kids' feet keep growing as they get older. And so just because you had a nice pair of winter boots doesn't mean that they're going to fit your kid this year. And parents are kind of always scrambling to find, new boots that'll fit their kids for that current year. These sold for $34.99. That was my full asking price. And I think that these were given to me by somebody. I don't remember where, I don't remember who or why or how, but I didn't have any money into them, so my net profit on those was $28.62. The crazy thing about those boots is that they were just sitting in my shoe inventory, like in my bins, as if they had been listed, and they hadn't. And I figured that out when we were moving from our old house into the house that we're currently in. We moved in April, like April 1st. And so prior to that, I was trying to get everything organized for when we moved, and I realized that these boots had never been listed. So I went ahead and photographed them, listed them, and they were a great sale. The next thing to sell was this Urban Outfitters BDG gray and red striped sweater in a size medium. This was something that my husband didn't wear anymore. That was another thing that we did as we were getting ready to move, as we were getting everything out of our closet and putting them into boxes. I told my husband, anything that you don't want to wear anymore, put it in this pile. I'll look through it and see if it's stuff that I can list, and if not, we'll just donate it. So some of it I did list. This I probably didn't need to list, but I did, and it sold for $8, and my net profit was $6.45. On Friday, which was October 27th, I had a pretty good sales day. On Poshmark, I sold this pair of torrid green 5-inch inseam pull-on linen blend mid-rise shorts in a size 20. So October 27th, here I am selling shorts. The day before, I sold winter boots. It's crazy. Like, you just don't know what's going to sell, and that's why a lot of resellers say, like, there is no seasonality when it comes to reselling. Just list all of the things, and there are people everywhere that need random things that you just don't think you're going to sell at that time. I surely did not think that these were going to sell when they did, but they did for $21, again, with discounted shipping because of Posh VA. These I only had listed for like a couple weeks. They were from a reseller buyout that I did earlier in the year in May. So I had $3.85 into those, and my net profit was $10.93. The next thing to sell was this Old Navy red classic pea coat in a size 2XL. This was something that I got from a reseller who learned that she just doesn't like to sell clothes. Like, as she got deeper and deeper into reselling, she was like, I like the hard goods. I do not like selling clothes. So she sold me all of her clothing inventory. I had about $2 into each item. This one sold for $12, and I made a net profit of $7.05. Did I need to list that? No. But I was like, I'm just going to try to list as much as I can of this reseller buyout to make as much money off of it as possible. And, I made a little bit of money. The next thing to sell was this pair of level 99 Lily skinny gray shade mid-rise jeans in a size 28. I got these at a garage sale maybe last year. So I had $2 into them. They sold for $22 and my net profit was $15.60. Level 99 is not a brand that I pick up very often. So I don't know why I got these at that garage sale when I did, but I did. And after sitting on them for quite some time, I did move them. It's not a brand that I actively pick up anymore. On eBay, I sold this Banana Republic brown silk cotton cashmere v-neck sweater in a size small. This was a men's sweater, and they have, I don't know if they still have it, but they had this somewhat popular line. It was like a silk cotton cashmere blend, and what they meant by that was it was like 90% cotton, 5% silk, 5% cashmere. So not a lot of the finer fabrics, but enough for you to be like, ooh, like this is fancy. And they were soft. This was something that I got from a friend of mine before he moved, and he was just trying to unload like mountains of clothing that he had. He was like, my mom just likes to buy me clothes. And I'm like, okay, you little shopaholic, you. But he had so much clothes, so much of it had like tags attached to it. This is like one of the very last things of his to sell. So most of his stuff has sold through and for very good money. I had about $2 into each of those items. I just gave him some money. He really gave me everything for free, but I was like, please take some money. It'll help with your move. They just had a baby. It wasn't much, but I just wanted to be able to give him something. And so, like I said, it came out to about $2 a piece. I made a net profit of $4.99 on that. And part of the reason as to why this was such a good sales day is because I tried something extremely drastic on eBay. I tried running a like 65% off sale on select items. I went through my eBay store and like picked out items that I was just so sick of seeing. Like, so again, I've had this for like 2 years now, things that just were sitting for so long. And at this point, I just wanted them gone regardless of how much money I made on them. So I selected like probably close to like 400 items that I was willing to let go for 65% off, and a good amount of those items sold, and that was one of them. The next item was as well. It was this pair of Sperry blue and white patent leather boat shoes in a women's size 7.5. I put the word preppy in the title because they were very preppy. I got these in a ThredUp rescue box, like a shoe rescue box. Sperry's, like, they can do okay. I just feel like Sperry's are so oversaturated on reselling markets. The sell-through rate is not great. Everyone's trying to sell their old Sperry's. So these did sell at that 65% off sale price of $8, but I had $5 into them from that ThredUp box, and they were promoted at 3%. So I ended up losing $1.01 on these. But it's like, I'm selling through stuff. I'm increasing my number of sales on eBay so that the things that I did that were bad on eBay, like not getting things shipped out on time, or like item not as described returns that people opened on me, like those things, the percentage of those things gets smaller because the number of items sold in a certain period of time is bigger. For that reason, it's like I'm just trying to move through stuff and stuff that I just don't want to sit on anymore. I don't even care that I lost money. Like, I just need to get them out of my house. The next thing to sell was this vintage Winner's Circle Dale Earnhardt The Intimidator pink t-shirt in a size extra large. This sold full price, so this was not one of the items that I had as part of that 65% off sale. I like to think that running that sale helped this person find this shirt, like just the extra activity on eBay maybe did something. But this item sold for $24.99. It came from that reseller who was like, I hate selling clothes, and so I bought all of her clothes off of her. So I had $2 into it, and my net profit on that t-shirt was $18.99. I do not know that world. What, Dale Earnhardt, is it like a race car, like a NASCAR? I don't know anything about that. Cars, racing, Indy 5. I don't know anything about it, but I feel like I'd heard this person's name and I was like, I should list this shirt, and I'm glad that I did. The next thing to sell was a result of that 65% off sale. It was my husband's Converse All-Star Gray low-top shoes in a size 9. They were real gross, like just grimy, like he'd worn them a ton, but like came to realize, wow, Converses are not very comfortable. So he was like, you can sell these. And I was like, all right, I'll make like $4. But they sold for $8 and I made $6.21. So there I go, proving myself wrong. The next thing to sell was this pair of hydraulic Gramercy, I think that was the style name, name. Slim bootcut low-rise jeans in a women's size 12. You know, they're like kind of similar to like silver jeans. They have like that really thick stitching and the whiskering and all that kind of stuff. These I got from that reseller who doesn't like to resell clothes, and so I had $2 into them. They sold for $12. That was my 65% off price, and my net profit on those was $8.05. On Mercari, I sold a shirt by the brand Buck Mason, which everyone says is a bolo. Maybe I just had this price too high, but it took me like, I don't know, probably like 5-6 months to sell this shirt. I have a pair of jeans by this brand as well, and although I've gotten some interest on them, I've gotten a couple pretty lowball offers. They haven't sold yet, so I don't know. Like, I think it is a good brand. You know, I got a lot of interest on the shirt, and this was a really basic shirt, but I get some interest on the jeans, but they're slow movers, so maybe, again, my pricing was off. Maybe I was just being a little too greedy and I had them priced too high, but I don't know. Like, I didn't see the immediate flip that everyone said I would with them, but it was this neutral long sleeve Henley shirt in a size large, made of 100% cotton. Again, this was a pretty basic top, so maybe that's part of the reason as to why I had it for so long. It ended up selling for $22, which is less than I thought I would get for it, and I had $4.55 into it from a birthday sale at a local consignment store, so my net profit on that was $13.97. On Saturday, which was October 28th, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of cabbie corduroy pants. They were like in an amber gold color. They were skinny pants with a mid-rise, and they were in a size 4. I actually got these over the summer, so I have not had them listed for very long. I have not really been picking up skinny pants, but I got these because they were corduroy and because I thought that they'd be really good for the fall because of the color. And I feel like all of those thoughts turned out to be true because, you know, these did sell for $20. I only had $1.11 into them from the birthday sale at the local consignment store. And the reason why that cost of goods is lower than other cost of goods from that birthday sale is because I went on a later date. So I went opening day of the birthday sale, but I also came back like on a Wednesday. I think the sale started on Saturday. I went back on a Wednesday because on Wednesday, the price per bag was far less than it was the first day. The first day you had to pay $30 per shopping bag, and on Wednesday it was like $10 or $5. So I was getting things for so much less, and as a result, I made a net profit of $14.89. That is the only reason I picked up these skinny pants is because I knew I was going to be getting them for super cheap and because of the season that we were in. But if I had to pay like $6, $7 for them, if I found them at like a thrift store, I would have definitely left them behind. Cabbie pants don't really do that well for me. And again, the fact that they were skinny didn't really help either. On eBay, I sold this American Eagle Seriously Soft Classic Fit blue button-down shirt in a size small. This was a result of that 65% off sale, so it sold for $8. I had $1 into it from a reseller buyout that I did like 3 years ago at this point. I think that was my very first reseller buyout that I did. And it was a great experience. I got really great stuff from her. And like everything came out to like $1.02 per item or something like that. This was promoted at 3%. And so my net profit on that shirt was $4.31. Just trying to move out stuff that's been sitting in my inventory for like 2+ years, 3+ years. Even though I didn't make very much on it, it just felt good to get it out of my house finally. And then finally on Sunday, which was October 29th, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Dansko black perforated leather Charlie, that was the style name, sneakers in a European size 40, which converts to like a US size 9.5. These I got at that one garage sale I told you about, the one from the person who likes to resell vintage, but not so much contemporary stuff. So my average cost of goods for that garage sale was $4.77. These sold for $35, and my net profit on those was $23.23. Dansko still does pretty well for me, and I thought that these especially would move pretty quickly and, you know, do pretty well because they weren't the typical like slide-on mule or like clog. These, you know, were more of like a sneaker. So people who swear by Dansko, I thought that they would like the look of this maybe a little bit better. It's a little bit more modern looking, and I don't know if that's why this person bought them, but they did move fairly quickly, and I made some good money on those. So I would definitely pick those up again. On eBay, I sold this Talbot's dark teal 100% wool pea coat. It was in a size 12 petite. It had buttons, and I put the word classic on it. This sold for $25. I think that someone sent me an offer. So this was not part of my sale, but someone just sent an offer. And I'm, again, just like trying to move out a lot of stuff. So I went ahead and accepted. I had $4.50 into it from a local consignment store during one of their tag sales. So my net profit on that was $15.16. Typically, Talbot's outerwear will do a little bit better, but this was pretty basic. So I'm not surprised that it sold for, only $25. The next thing to sell was part of my 65% off sale. It was this LL Bean blue quarter zip fleece pullover in a size medium. I have had this for so long, like just way too long. I got it at that local consignment store when, they let me shop in their storage unit during the height of COVID. So I had 80 cents into it. It sold for $8.80, and my net profit on that was $6.95. Good riddance. I just needed to get rid of it. These very basic lightweight fleece pullovers are not worth the pickup, in my opinion. This was even like a decent size, like it was a medium, but I've had it for like 3 years at this point. The next sale was amazing. It was from a pop-up consignment sale that happens in my town twice a year. And at this pop-up consignment sale, I can always count on finding brands like Dress to Kill and Jada Gypsy and Cynthia Ashby. There's always like Alembica. I'm trying to think of what else I always see. And it's because there's like 2 or 3 consigners who this is what they wear. And lately at this consignment store, I've also been finding Magnolia Pearl. The problem is when you consign at this pop-up consignment sale, you have 2 options. You can create the little consignment tags yourself and you can price everything yourself. And they do give you some general guidelines, but you can price things however you want, It's just you have to know that if you're going to be ridiculous with your pricing, most likely your item is not going to sell and it's either going to get donated, or if you ask for it back, you'll get it back, but now you got to go back and collect it and bring it back home. So most people price things themselves and, they're like decent about how they price things. And then the other option is there are 2 women that run this sale, and you can take a smaller cut, but give your items to these women and they'll price the items for you. And that's what the people that sell like the Dress to Kill, Magnolia Pearl, Cynthia Ashby, that's what they do. They give their items to the 2 women that run this sale and they let them price it. And these women have figured out that there are people like myself, but also others in town who will snatch up all of the Magnolia Pearl. And this past sale, and I would say even the sale before it, they have really been pushing the price on their Magnolia Pearl. Like they know people will pay a pretty penny for Magnolia Pearl. And I actually found out because I was kind of like, man, like it's just priced too high. Like some of it was priced at like $200 or $300. And I was like, I'm not going to get it. And I wonder if like anyone will. And it'll probably just go back to that person and they'll try again next year for the next sale. But the owners told me that there is a lady in town who she has like her own little kind of vintage store. But they said that she will pick up every single Magnolia Pearl, every like, all those brands that I listed, like the Dress to Kills, the Jada Gypsies, like she'll pick it all up on the half off day. And if it's not half off, she'll still get it, but she waits till the half off day to come through and pick up anything that's like remotely good. And she spends like $1,000 at this sale every time. So now I know if I don't pick up the Magnolia Pearl at that price, someone else is going to, and they know that. And that's why they price it the way that they do. So that's a long way to say that I sold this Magnolia Pearl dress. It was the Lana cotton jersey Bisou tank dress, and it was like one size fits all, one size fits most, whatever. So this particular dress, it was like a spaghetti strap dress, but it was with a long sleeve dress. So it was like a long sleeve white dress that said Magnolia Pearl on the back, and then this was over it, and they had it together like that. So at first I was like, okay, these must be like attached or something, but they weren't. They were 2 separate pieces. They had it priced at $200. And I was like, I'm not going to pay $200 for this. But I did see on the tag that they, the seller was willing to sell it at half off. So that would mean that on half off day, it was $100. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, maybe I can sell these as separates. I'm not going to sell it together as like a bundle. I'm going to, pull this spaghetti strap dress off of the long sleeve. I'm going to sell that by itself and sell the long sleeve by itself. And then that way I'm really only spending $50 per item, which is still a lot. But this item sold within 2 hours of being listed at my full asking price of $149.99. Again, I had $50 into it. It was promoted at 3%. I made a net profit of $75.21, even with the fact that I had $50 into it. That's my net profit after fees, after cost of goods. I made $75.21, which is why I'm willing to pay up for Magnolia Pearl. But it's a lot scarier to pay like $200, $300 for one thing, which maybe there's still room to make profit, but it gets, the margins get smaller and smaller, and your room for error gets smaller and smaller. I'm actually feeling pretty salty because I did pick up one Magnolia Pearl item the first day because they had indicated on the tag that it would not be going half off, and I picked it up for like $120, and I was like, it's okay, I can probably sell it for like $250, $300. I'll still make some money on it. Like, I just have to have the faith. I got it home and there is a small hole on the front. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I looked it over, but I just did not see this hole till I got it at home under my lights. I am contemplating if I just try listing it for a high amount anyway, and maybe it'll do okay, or if I just keep it for myself. I don't need it though. Like, it's not really my style. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But with this particular dress, I was very pleased with how it went. And the long sleeve dress that came with it, I have it priced at like $250 or something crazy like that. And we'll see what happens, but I think I'll make really good money on that one sale. It is a great brand to be on the lookout for. People go crazy over this brand. There are pieces that sell for like $700, $800, $1,000, and I don't get it. Like, it's literally made of cotton. But I will sell it and I will make the money, and I will put that money towards my family and our trips and our whatever. Like, if people want to spend that much on this brand, I'll let them spend that much on this brand. The next thing to sell was this Eileen Fisher gray speckled button-up cardigan sweater in a size medium. It was made of silk, and this is something that I actually got in a ThredUp bulk mixed rescue box, which, those boxes usually are filled with like 75% crap, and then like 20% stuff that you can sell and make some money on, and then 5% like, whoa, like that's really good. This was like kind of a whoa. Like, it wasn't like amazing, but it's pretty good. Like, I would have picked this up myself at a thrift store. It sold for $30 on eBay. That was an offer that someone sent to me, which I accepted, and I made a net profit of $24.17. And then the last sale of the week that we will talk about was over on my website, which is shopbeckypark.com. I've been really horrible about doing my monthly drops. I don't think I've done them since like the summer, and it's because it got really busy. I do plan on doing one more in the month of December. So if you want to know when that drop happens, you can subscribe to my newsletter, or I have like an email list, and that link is down in the description below, and that'll let you know when I'm going to do my big December drop. I have a lot of goodies that I want to throw in there, but this was something that sold on that drop. It was this Alchemy equipment, which is like a good menswear brand. However, I don't know if they're still in existence, but they had some things. They were really expensive. I found this at a Goodwill like maybe an hour and a half away. I had some students who were in a festival, and they were like in rehearsals, and so I went thrifting, and I found a section of just like great men's clothing, like a ton of John Varvatos and other brands I had like never heard of. A lot of the stuff was kind of priced pretty high, but some of it I took a chance on, and this was one of those pieces. So it was this blue 100% merino wool long sleeve sweater, but it didn't even feel like wool. Like, it was so lightweight. So it was kind of crazy that it was 100% wool, but it was in a men's size small, which all of the stuff in this section, it was like smaller men's clothing, which is part of the reason as to why I think, it took a little bit longer to sell. I sold this on my website for $27.95, which is a lot less than I had it listed for on all of my other platforms. And that's because on my website, I am pricing things at like my bottom dollar, like the lowest I'm willing to let things go for, which is why, which is kind of like the point of that website, is like, hey, get the best deal on my best pieces here. I had $12.99 into it from that Goodwill, and so my net profit on that sweater was $9.04. So would I pick up this brand again if I found it? I think I would, but I wouldn't pay that much for it, because I think what I learned from, trying to sell it is that not a lot of people know about it, which is fine. It basically took almost a solid year for it to sell and for me to make my $9.04. So you know, if I can find it for like $2, $3, you know, I'll get it again, but otherwise. So for the week on Poshmark, I sold 11 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $241. Once you factor in Poshmark's fees and all of the shipping discounts that I offer because of Posh VA, that total drops to $183.42. My cost of goods for those 11 items was $28.06, and so my net profit for the week on Poshmark was $155.36. On eBay, I actually sold more items, and a lot of that is because of the sale that I was running, but I sold 15 items, and my gross sales amount was $417.57. Don't forget, I sold a dress for $150, so these numbers are going to look amazing, even though some things were selling for like $8. Once you factor in eBay fees and any shipping discrepancies, that total drops to $342.42. My cost of goods for those 15 items was $85.04, and so my net profit on eBay was $257.38. I had one Mercari sale for a gross sales amount of $22. Once you factor in Mercari's fees, that total drops to $18.52. My cost of goods for that one item was $4.55, and so my net profit on Mercari was $13.97. I had one Shopify sale, and that gross sales amount was $27.95. Once you factor in Shopify's very low fees, that total drops to $22.03. My cost of goods was a whopping $12.99, and so my net profit on Shopify on my website was $9.04. So in total, I sold 28 items for a gross sales amount of $708.52. Once you factor in fees and shipping, that total drops to $566.39. My cost of goods for those 28 items was $130.64, and so my net profit for the week was $435.75. So lots of things to take away from this week of sales. One is, don't sleep on items that are flawed. If they're already in your house, it might be worth just going ahead and listing and selling, especially if you just do a good job of taking pictures of the flaws themselves, putting the word flawed sometimes in the listing title, making sure that you notate what the flaws are in the listing description. You just want to be very clear so that someone doesn't try to open a return on you. They should know when they purchase the item that what they're purchasing is flawed. And I didn't have an issue with any of the flawed items this week that sold. It's not like anyone, reached out and was like, oh, I didn't know this had a hole in it, or oh, I didn't know this had a snag. Like, for the most part, the lower price to begin with is kind of a telltale sign, like, hey, this may not be in pristine condition. And on top of that, like I said, I had a lot of information about the flaw itself all over the listing, and there were pictures of the flaw. I think that this week is also a great reminder that if you have an eBay store, running a sale, and sometimes running a sale with a very steep discount, is not necessarily a bad thing. I do think, it's healthy to move out stale inventory, and sometimes when you run sales, it just kind of triggers more activity in your store, not even related to the sale itself, but just in general. And so it's something that I was like, oh, this went really well. I need to do it every weekend from now on. And then I just forgot and didn't run a sale again. So this has inspired me as I'm sitting down to record this, What Sold For You. It has inspired me to go ahead and set up a sale for this coming weekend. Again, just moving out stale stuff, just increasing the number of items that have sold in, this time frame on eBay, so that eBay will kind of forgive some of my past transgressions. And then the last, takeaway I think of the week is Magnolia Pearl. It is quite the BOLO brand, and it might be worth paying up for depending on what it is that you have in your hands. But make sure you look it over really well and don't do what I did and pay a lot for an item and get it home and notice that it has a hole in it when it's too late. So that is everything that sold for me in this particular week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. And if you're like, man, I want to learn more about what kind of stuff has been selling for you, I have a playlist filled with all of my What Sold videos, and I will link that for you right here. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.